Welcome to the Andy Ruther Show. Here is your host, Andy Ruther.
Welcome to another episode of the Andy Ruther Show. That's me, Andrew Thomas Ruther. Battling a little cold today. The whole fam's got it. It's a million degrees outside. We got the AC cranked up inside. Maybe that's what's causing it, but damn, it's hot here. There's a big heat wave going on right now in Cincinnati. I think it hit a lot of the country, and it is hot. Hot in her. So hot. So hot in her. Shout out to Nelly. That was a jam back in the day. Circa, when was that big? Circa like 2002, 2003, when I was in college. I used to love Nelly, man. I used to love Nelly popped right when I went to St. Louis University, and I thought it was so cool. I was like, there's this big rapper named Nelly. He's from St. Louis. I go to school in St. Louis. All us white boys listening to Nelly thinking we're cool. But he was popping back then. He had some jams, man. His first couple albums were pretty good. They're pretty good. I can still rock with some Nelly. But yeah, I used to mess with that. I used to mess with Nelly hard. But that's how they talk. That's how they talk in the inner city. In St. Louis. They'll be like her, their. I don't know how they I don't know why they don't pronounce their R's like the normal way, but that's how it is. Because I used to work in an after school program in college, and I worked in the inner city, and that's all the kids would talk. It was all go over there. I ain't scared. But man, it is hot here, like record breaking temperatures, or damn near it. So we've been dealing with that. I don't like it. I came to a conclusion this past week. I prefer the cold over. Let me take a step back. I prefer the winters in Cincinnati over the summers because it's hot and it's humid. And that combo is terrible. Is terrible. Terrible. I'll do a little Charles Barkley in there. But it's just not fun, man. It's not fun. Like, I changed a license plate yesterday. The license plate came for Brittany's new car. So I had to take the temporary one off. And I was just covered in sweat. A simple take a couple screws out, take out the temp license plate, put in the new one. Yeah, and I'm just sweating. You guys know what I'm talking about if you live in the Midwest or the East Coast. It's unbearable, man. It's unbearable. But I'm lucky. I'm lucky because we have a little community pool here. My little brother has a pool. Brittany's parents have a pool. So we're bailed out by that. So I got to count my blessings, so to speak. It's nice to have that as an outlet because damn, it's hot in her. So we went over there for Father's Day. Actually, went over to Brittany's parents, hit the pool. Little Isla's getting used to it. She's not the biggest get in the pool type of girl. She more likes to play around it and watch the scene, which I want her to be more of a pool person because who didn't love being in a pool on a hot summer day? So we did that, which was nice. But you're just so tired. When it's hot like this, you're just so tired. But it was a nice little Father's Day. I stopped by the cemetery where my parents are buried. Paid my respects to the one and only Walter Ruther, my old man, and had a nice little solemn moment, just thinking about things and probably all last week, to be honest. And it was, you know, it's a nice Father's Day with the family. It's a little different now that I got my own kid, and women make such a big deal out of it. It cracks me up. It's like, "It's your day. It's your day." And I kept thinking of my dad. My dad would just be like, "It's just another day," because that's what he would always say about his birthday, about Father's Day, about Christmas. "It's just another day," which, you know what? There's something to that. But I was laughing because it was, "Oh, you can't do anything today. It's your day. It's your day." I woke up to some Dunkin' Donuts. They made a trip secretly. Isla and Brittany made a secret trip, picked me up my favorite donut and uh, sausage, egg, cheese croissant sandwich, which I like too. So that was very sweet of them. So yeah, I was thinking about my old man, thinking about all the things he taught me, the jokes, the things that he didn't even realize were funny that were funny. My dad was a funny dude. Walt was a funny dude. And I don't think he realized how funny he was. He could be real funny with the looks he gave or the things he would say. And it always made me laugh, especially as I got older. He didn't hide his feelings or his facial expressions. If he was disgusted at you, he would let you know. He had no poker face at all. And I was thinking about that. And I was thinking about some of the savage things he said to me over the years. My dad he could say some wild things to me. And I think my brothers would agree more than any other brother. He would just basically roast me. He would say crazy stuff. And then sometimes he'd apologize the next day because he'd say things that would just undress you. And you're just like, wow, you just evaluated my entire life, Dad. That was just absolutely savage. I remember one time he said after Obama got elected, my dad was very conservative, so he always voted Republican. But one time after Obama got elected and he was all mad, and he probably had a few drinks in him. He said that Obama was going to give money to all the underachievers like me and take from the overachievers like him. Like, you realize how messed up that is to say to your child that he was going to take money from the overachievers like him and give money to the underachievers like me. Okay, thanks, Dad. I'm just gonna go walk in the street and jump in front of a car now. Appreciate that vote of confidence. So he'd say stuff like that. Or like the time I totaled my dad's car when I was drunk and I ran over a fire hydrant. I'll never forget this. I'll never forget calling him. My brother he was in high school. He was in a wrestling tournament up in Cleveland. And I had to tell him that I totaled his car, drove it like a drunken idiot. He said, "I can never trust you again." Whoa. That's intense, man. And that hit me hard. It wasn't, "I'm angry." It wasn't, "I'm mad at you." It was, "I can never trust you again." And that's powerful. You tell that to a 21-year-old who just made a 21-year-old mistake. Now, it was idiotic. It was stupid. It was next level bad mistake. But you tell a kid, "I can never trust you again." Woo. Now, obviously, I don't think you meant it. I hope not. But so he would say things like that at times. Now, my dad was also he was the best because he was so supportive for me, for my brothers, for my mom. He always supported. I know I've talked about this, what we wanted to do, whether it was my interest at the time in sports or broadcasting or comedy or movies, whatever it was, he always supported it. And he was great with that. And he wasn't, he came from a different generation. My old man was born in 1943. That wasn't "I love you" type. It wasn't lovey-dovey like that. It's a lot different now. but he showed it in other ways. He wasn't, it was tough for him to say, I love you. It was tough, but he loved us so much and he gave us so much. And I think about those things. I think about all those memories and those times and that's what Father's Day is about. And I'll say this to you guys. If your dad is still around or if your mom's still around, just tell them you love them. Cherish those moments. That's my one piece of advice. Cherish those moments. Tell them you love them. Tell them you care about them. Write them a letter. Do those things because you don't know when it's gone. You don't know when it's going to be snatched from you. And then you'll relish those moments and you'll want more. A selfish side of you will want more. But he was a good, he was a good, he was a great father and he was good at just teaching lessons. He wasn't a get mad dad. He had patience. He had a lot of qualities I wish I had better. But he was good at teaching lessons. And this is one that I shared at my dad's funeral. My brother and I both spoke. And this story is kind of like how my dad was. I got really drunk, just like next level loaded, like I used to always get. And I'm about to be a junior in college, right? And I go to Dave Matthews Band, and we get loaded down at Riverbend, which is the music venue in Cincinnati, the one by the river, hence Riverbend. But anyway, where it's an outdoor music venue. Get bombed with buddies all night, go to an after party, the whole 9 yards. At the time, I was working for a moving company, a commercial moving company. And we had to get up. I probably had to get up around 5:36 every day. You had to clock in and either go to the company because we did commercial moving. So let's say, for example, you had to replace an entire floor of the cubicles. So you'd be moving them from one floor to another floor, and you have to set it back up. So sometimes you go to the company, sometimes you just go to the warehouse, and then you hop in the big truck. Anyway, partying all night, Dave Matthews, probably get home at 3 a.m. I don't get up for bed. I'm sorry. I don't get out of bed to go to work. My dad comes in. I'll never forget this. He comes in his tie, because he's gonna go to work, and he says, "Get your ass up. It's time for work." I just go right back to sleep. Comes back in, get up. You got to go to work. And then at one point, he came in and he threw water. He just threw water on my face to get me out of bed. It didn't matter. I was probably still drunk. I just turned my head the other way, just lay in the wet pillow and just go back to sleep. Then he's so mad. My dad physically pulled me out of bed. I'm 20 years old, about to be a junior in college. He physically pulls me out of bed, says, "Get your ass to work." I get right up from the floor and crawl right back in bed. I'm not working. I'm drunk. I'm hungover. I'm not dealing with this, Dad, especially a manual labor job like that. So I go back to sleep, probably sleep most of the day. Wake up probably around, I don't know, 1, 2 p.m. I know he's going to be mad at me. So I call him at work. And I'll never forget what he tells me. He says, "Look, Andy," he wasn't mad, which surprised me at first too, but it shouldn't have because my dad was usually in a good mood at work because he really liked his job. He was a stockbroker. He tells me, "Andy, I don't care what you do the night before. Go party, go have fun with your friends, but you don't miss work because of it. Do all those things. You're young, whatever. You don't miss work. You don't ever miss work. You just don't miss work." What a lesson he taught me. And I've thought about that since that day. Do your thing. Enjoy your life. Don't miss work because of it. And that was a great lesson that he taught me as a young kid, as a 20-year-old. And he's right. Do your thing. It doesn't mean that I didn't miss work again because I was partying, because of course I did. But that just wasn't in his DNA. That's not how he grew up. You didn't miss work. You had fun with your friends, you did whatever, but you didn't miss work because of it. What a great lesson. But then I started thinking because of that, I started thinking about summer jobs. That was a summer job I had. I did that after sophomore year of college, after junior year after college, and then when I come home from break. So that was a commercial moving company. I did that, and I started thinking about all my summer jobs are fun, man. Like that's a time capsule you'll have if you're younger, high school, college. Take advantage of it. There's nothing better than a summer job, right? You get a few bucks from working. Working's always fun. I mean, it's fun. You're meeting people. You got some money to spend, money to go out. Although I don't know what the kids do nowadays. I feel like they're not as social. It's different times. But I found some old work stubs. It was making me laugh. I was thinking about it. So that company, here, I have them here actually. Let's look at these. I haven't really looked at these. My dad kept everything, and then I kept some of this stuff for old time's sake. Okay, so that job for Wessel's commercial, which this was a lot of money back then. They paid me $10 an hour. $10 was a lot. And I loved it because you basically had unlimited hours. So you get time and a half for overtime. So I'd make 15 an hour, anything over 40 hours for the week. So that seemed like so much money back then. And I loved it. So I did that. I'm looking at this now. It's so funny to see my earnings. Oh, here's the job I did after senior year of high school. I worked at Kroger, the grocery store. I worked in their produce section. The bar was so low there. I just showed up, did my job. I worked from 2 to 10. 2 to 10 was my shift. 2 p.m. to 10 p.m., which I loved because I could go out. Again, it was after senior year of high school. I'd go out. Graduation parties felt like they lasted all summer from my high school, and go meet buddies at the parties at night. Let's see what I made. They paid me $6.10 an hour. Damn. So this pay stub is from, where is this? Where is this from? Okay, so this pay period is from 6/18/2000 to 6/24/2000. So, wow, that's crazy. Dude, this is insane. This pay period is from literally 24 years ago today. I'm recording this on June 18th. So 24 years ago today was the start of the pay period, ended June 24th, 2000. I made $6.10 an hour. So my check after working, so this was like a normal 40-hour work week. You didn't get paid for breaks. Cheap asses. After taxes, I made $175.19 for a week. 175.19. Wow. Now, here's a little pay upgrade. This is a summer later. I'm working at Skyline Chili in Cincinnati. I was a bus boy and I washed the dishes. This was after my freshman year of college. I made $7 an hour. Here's my pay for 2 weeks of work, $293.94. Yeah, so I worked at the local Skyline by me, which is funny because now I do content work for Gold Star, which I love because I know all the secrets. I know exactly how Skyline does it. It's so funny to me. Skyline, and I used to do this. So how they make the chili, if you've ever had Cincinnati style chili, especially from Skyline, the chili for Skyline comes in frozen blocks. It's pretty gross if you think about it. It comes in frozen blocks. You put it in this giant vat. It looks like a witch's cauldron. You put it in the vat, frozen. You heat that up. You mix a ton of water. It was measured out. I forget how much water we put in. And then you had a giant oar and you just would stir it. You'd stir the frozen chili. That's literally what people eat. It's pretty disgusting if you think about it. That's how Skyline makes, quote unquote, their chili. It comes in frozen blocks mixed with water and it's reheated. And people lose their mind over that stuff. So I love that now that I work for Gold Star, because Gold Star, it doesn't come in frozen. Gold Star has a giant commissary where they make their chili and then they ship it out. But it's never frozen. It's pretty gross if you think about it. Those were some fun jobs though, man. That Kroger job, there was a guy, there was a guy when I worked at Kroger. This guy was hilarious. So I worked in the produce department and you wrap the corn, right? You cut up the corn. You know how you get it in the plastic wrap, and then you'd put it in the little styrofoam container and put the plastic wrap around it. And this guy would say to me, he had worked at Kroger's for years. He'd say, "Boy, you wrap that corn tight as a nun's cunt." I was like, "What? Who says that?" That's what he'd always say. That's how tight you had to wrap the corn. Oh man. My first summer job, now you guys got me thinking. My first summer job ever was after freshman year of high school. I was 15. Coney Island, which now doesn't exist in Cincinnati. Not the Coney Island on the Jersey Shore. There's a giant pool, one of the largest pools, I think, in the country. Coney Island in Cincinnati, which was by me, and I worked. It was a big plot of land, and they would have what did they do? People would rent out companies because there's a giant picnic area, and they had a trailer full of games. And I helped a girl run that because I forget what the law was. I could only work so many hours a week, so I could only work weekends because I was 15. You couldn't work so many hours until you were 16. I don't know how much that law's changed. So then the next summer, I worked at Coney. I did that on the weekends, and the weekdays I worked the rides. Coney used to have rides. And the thing I always remember about that job was a woman was breastfeeding her kid on the Ferris wheel. And I'm a 16-year-old kid, so we're all like, "What?" Suddenly we see a boob out, and she's going round and round the Ferris wheel. And so she's at the highest part of the park, so everybody can see a baby's, mouth on her tit. And I was so embarrassed to take the latch off, the safety latch off when she was supposed to get out of the ride. And she picked up on it. She picked up on like it was just weird for me. And I'll never forget what this woman said to me. She goes, "Oh, don't mind him. He's just eating." Lady, I know. Every dude has been talking about it. We're a bunch of horny 16-year-old dudes. We see a boobie out. Everybody's been talking about it at the entire park. Yeah, man. I had a lot of different fun summer jobs. I looked the other day. I think I've had like 26 different jobs, if not more, my whole life. But but probably more. But I would just count like content creation as one job, even though I've had a bunch of different jobs. But it was something like 20 something, which is pretty insane. So I've had a lot of different summer jobs. But summer jobs, man, that was fun, dude. Those were some good times. But I was thinking about jobs, and then I started thinking about, teaching. I was a teacher for a year, right? I taught in Las Vegas. And then I saw this news story and I thought, how perfect. I saw this news story on Twitter about a teacher who went in drunk. I believe it was Sacramento. And I love local news. Local news is hilarious. I don't really watch it, but if it will pop on my TV, maybe after a football or basketball game or something, here's what I do. First of all, I say, who's watching this? It's old people. We all know that. So it's old people. And when all the old people die, will local news exist? Because nobody young watches local news. So in 30 years, maybe not even 30, maybe 15, 20, will local news exist? Who's watching this? But I saw this story about a teacher who was teaching drunk. And of course, it reminded me of my Las Vegas days. So this teacher, I'll play the news clip. This teacher is all lit. She's a second grade teacher. Again, I think it's Sacramento. I'll just play it for you guys. And she's all drunk.
Yeah, so now we know that there are no criminal charges coming against that second grade teacher, but parents are concerned about what type of precedents this sets, that teachers can be in the classroom while intoxicated.
It is not illegal to teach drunk.
The shocking discovery after a months-long investigation into Sutter County second grade teacher Wendy Munson, who was arrested last October for driving drunk and child endangerment.
There was the possibility that she drank after she arrived at the school.
That's why
Whoa. I haven't really watched this, but I just saw the headline. The headline got me. The headline was second grade teacher arrested for being drunk in class is not facing criminal charges because it's not illegal to teach drunk. So she was arrested after teaching. So she failed a sobriety test after teaching. So she was probably boozing during the day. Wendy, like at school? Okay, so back to this. This is what the prosecuting attorney?
District Attorney Jennifer Dupre couldn't file any charges, even though investigators say the teacher was on the job with the blood alcohol content level 2 times the legal limit.
With any job, if you show up to work intoxicated, it's a fireable offense, I would imagine.
Consistent with most schools, New Estro Elementary is a drug and alcohol-free zone. The staff handbook stating that for violators of this, the board shall require termination when termination is required by law.
I certainly don't support anyone teaching children drunk.
Okay. I disagree with that one, by the way. Have you seen these kids nowadays? Have you seen these kids? These kids are animals. You should be teaching drunk. You should be teaching high, drunk, cracked out. You can probably get the drugs from your students. Dude, all I see online are videos of kids fighting and kids wanting to like fight the teacher. You should get drunk. Maybe not second graders. I don't know why you need to be drunk around second graders. All right, let's get through this.
But I can't charge them criminally.
Dupre says there is also inconsistency in the law for child endangerment, saying it's a matter of proving the teacher would endanger versus may endanger the children.
And we couldn't prove that her intoxication would endanger them.
Parents think teachers should be held to a higher
Well,
standard.
that's interesting. That's interesting. So the child endangerment, so she's teaching a bunch of second graders all drunk. And the question becomes, did she endanger the kids? Because she was drunk. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. It's interesting.
A school teacher is a little bit unique because parents are entrusting their children to a teacher and to the school.
That's right, Matthew.
But the law disagrees, leaving it up to districts to decide how to discipline.
So we tried because I don't like the conduct. It's not acceptable. But unfortunately, it was not criminal.
That makes
sense.
sense.
I am still working to get a response from the district, but on its website, Munson is no longer listed as a teacher.
So she's not teaching there anymore. By the way, I love that. Like, this is your job. You went to college. This reporter, you went to college to cover drunk second grade teachers. I don't think that's what she wanted to do. So you know what this reminds me of, actually? So this reminds me of when I taught in Las Vegas, a few teachers got popped for banging their students. They were fired, but legally they couldn't do anything because the age of consent in the state of Nevada is 16. And it sounds like it's along those lines. So she gets fired because she's had too many White Claws mixed with her lunch, and she goes back to teach the alphabet drunk, and she gets fired for that. And then she gets the Dewey on the way home because she's swerving all over the road. But they can't throw another charge for her being drunk, is what it sounds. She looked like she liked to party too. Can I pull that back up? Where's the picture of Wendy? Let's see here. Let's see this.
Yeah, so now we know that
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Look at Wendy. Wendy gets after it. Wendy looks like the type of woman who you're going to settle for if you're going out. You're like a 35-year-old dude, and you're like, okay, I can't bring home anything hotter. I'm going to settle for Wendy. Definitely divorced. Maybe 2-time divorced, just looking at her. I bet she drinks Cosmos. Something like that, like a Cosmopolitan or something. That's hilarious. You know, it reminded me, though, of when I came in lit. Dude, I came in lit one time when I lived in Las Vegas. Basically, when I decided that I probably wasn't going to return for a second year as a teacher towards the end, I basically just threw in the towel on actually caring. So, true story. You know what? This was actually finals week. This was not too bad. I was basically a mess finals week, like the last 2 weeks of school. So this is the 2005-2006 school year. I'm teaching in Las Vegas, Clark County School District. Fun fact, at the time, it was the third largest school district in the country. It was a massive school district. It should have been broken up into smaller school districts, but just the whole county was a school district. Anyway, I go out after work, after teaching. I go to happy hour. We used to do that sometimes as teachers. Teachers get after it, man. A lot of teachers get after it, like Wendy. So I met a buddy. We had I forget the name of that casino, but there was a casino in old Las Vegas, in downtown Las Vegas, that had a good happy hour. Anyway, I get after it hard, man, with my buddy who was the assistant principal. So he was basically the disciplinarian. We get after it hard. We party. We head back to his area, party some more. I'm too drunk to drive. He had a guest bedroom. He's like, just crash here. So I crashed at my buddy's, and it was finals week. So they were just taking finals, right? And I taught 8th grade in high school, but I taught degenerates. I taught a program called Back on Track. We were trying to get them back on track because they hadn't passed 8th grade. They're trying to get to high school. And that's what I was teaching this day. They were getting finals for Back on Track. Dude, I wake up. You're getting up early, man. And I'm still definitely intoxicated. And I throw on the same clothes I was wearing yesterday. Mind you, it was the same clothes I was wearing at school, because I went from school right to the casino to whatever bars and then crashed at my buddies. And guys, let's remember, this is 2006. The Ubers don't exist. Ride shares don't exist. Lyfts don't exist. You weren't hailing down a cab. Plus, how would I get my car? My car was, I don't remember what my car was. Oh, my car was probably at my buddy's. Anyway, not only do I go to school drunk to teach, so I'm what, 2006? I'm 24 years old, going to be 25 years old. I stopped by Jack in the Box. That was my go-to drunk meal, Jack in the Box. Love me some Jack in the Box. I stopped by Jack in the Box. I get like two junior bacon cheeseburgers, 2 chicken sandwiches. Back when they were all 99 cents each. I love the dollar. Dude, I was the king of the dollar menu, especially if I was drunk. King of the dollar menu. So I swing by there, get 4 sandwiches, show up to my classroom. I had my desk, my computer was on my desk, like the school issued computer, the desktop computer. And the kids come in to take their finals, and these kids were just such degenerates. And I'm just scarfing down Jack in the Box. And one of my students, most of my students were Mexican. He's like, Mr. Ruther, man, you go out last night, you wearing the same clothes. And I'm just like, shut up, shut up, shut up. He's like, Jack in the Box pretty early, man. And he won't stop. And he's just nonstop. Like, you go partying last night, Mr. Ruther. And he's just on me. And I'm like, shut up, take your final, shut up, shut up. And it's just nonstop. And I'm hungover and I got a pounding headache and I feel like total shit. True story. I walk over to him middle of the final and I just fart on him. Just post beer binge drinking night, just disgusting fart. And it stinks. And I ripped that right on him. And he stands up and he's like, yo, man, what the fuck? I didn't care that he said that. And he goes and he sits somewhere else. It just reeked. That's where I was at. That's where I had decided, hey, I don't think I'm going to teach anymore. But the crazy part was I taught in such a bad area. I knew I was smart enough to know that I could get away with doing those things because who are they going to get to teach? You know, these were gangbangers. I had kids arrested. I had a police officer come with handcuffs in the middle of teaching one time. Like, this is where I taught. I taught in East Las Vegas. Shout out to Global Community High School. That's where I taught, man. So I knew I could also get away with stuff because, dude, I was fresh meat. I was fresh out of college. This is exactly who they hire for this job. Nobody wants this gig. Nobody wants this. And so, yeah, I went in drunk. I remember that day after they took that final, I think I took a nap. I think I just took a nap on the floor underneath my desk. Just didn't care. And actually, now that I think about it, a few days later, I went out again. We went down to Harris. We saw a live comedy show at the Improv. And then we went partying all night. And we would always end up at my one buddy's house. And we partied all night. And they all left because all my buddies were teachers. They all left for work and I slept through it. I just straight up slept through it. Now, I didn't have any finals that day, but it was basically the end where you were grading papers and you were submitting the final grades to the principal. And I woke up to like a million texts and calls from one of my other teacher buddies at the school. And he's like, dude, they are announcing your name on the intercom. Mr. Ruther, come to the principal's office. Mr. Ruther, come to the principal's office. I just slept. And the same thing, I sauntered in there and I reeked of booze. I had showered at my buddies, but I still reeked. And I went right to the principal's office and I was honest. See, my thing is I'm always pretty honest. I've been an honest dude my whole life. I'm not a good liar. And I told him, yeah, man, I was partying last night. And he straight up said, you reek of alcohol. He's like, you can't do this. So yeah, that could have been me. I could have been Wendy. I could have been the drunk teacher. You know, like you'll see in like a movie, like somebody just doesn't care anymore. And they just like, that was me. That was me the last week of teaching. Because I was about 90% sure I wasn't coming back. And I had already known I wanted to pursue stand-up comedy to the fullest. So when I moved out west, the plan all along was go to Las Vegas, go through their Second City improv training school, which I was doing, do that on the weekends. So learn acting improv, learn comedic improv, do that. You have a job as a teacher, which at the time, you know, it was a lot of money. It seemed like a lot of money. My salary with my signing bonus for the 2005-2006 school year was like 30 grand. I have it somewhere. I got to find it. Like 30 grand, which you're saying, okay, that's nothing. Great health benefits when you're a teacher. Great health benefits. And when you get to be an adult, you see how important it is to have good health, dental, vision, all that stuff covered. And the truth was, it wasn't expensive. All in my rent, my roommate owned a condo. He owned a 3-bed, 2.5-bed, 2.5-bath condo in Las Vegas. All in was $500 a month. All in. And I remember my paychecks were $1,050 every 2 weeks after taxes. So it was $2,100 a month after taxes, but my rent was only $500. So it seemed like a lot of money. I actually have here, if you guys can see this, I actually found this. My teacher, my Clark County School District, I look like a mugshot. This is my teacher badge. Look at little young me. That's my teacher badge. This is my old driver's license too. I mean, I look like a serial killer. Look at this. The old driver's license for Nevada. Yeah, man. Just one and done. They talk about one and done. The guy who goes to college for 1 year and then goes to the NBA. I was one and done teaching. And the principal who hired me, I liked him. He actually left. He left 3/4 into the school year to move up into like the count. Like he was moving into more of the administration side. So he left the school, and then the new guy took over. I thought was such a douche. He was such a douche. I'll never forget what this guy told me when I quit. I quit probably in like July of that summer and said I wasn't going to be there. Probably about 6 or 7 weeks before the school year started. I'll never forget what he told me, though. He sat me down. I went to his office, right? And he sat me down, and he really wanted me to stay and gave me the whole pitch to stay. And I said I was moving to LA. Now, I didn't move to LA for another year. So I was in Las Vegas for 2 years, but I didn't move to LA for a year. I said, this was the plan all along, move to LA, pursue stand-up comedy. And he basically said, you'll never make it. That's what he said. And he gave me a long pitch how his brother-in-law has been living in Los Angeles pursuing acting for so long, and he's only done extra work, and you know how hard it is. And he buttered up like teaching was the best gig ever, especially teaching in this school, bunch of gangbangers. He made it sound like it was the best job ever. And I'll never forget that. And I looked him up. I have him right in front of me. I'm looking at him. He's a principal. He's still a principal. He's a principal at a different school that he's been at for 11 years. It's so funny to see this guy and see his face. And he basically said, I'll never make it. I'll never make it in the entertainment world. And I've been told that a lot my whole life, and it actually motivates me. And I'm glad you have people like that to motivate you, and you'll never make it, and blah, blah, blah. He even after I quit, he's like, think about it a few more weeks. If you change your mind. It's like, no, dude, I'm out. I'm donezo. No more teaching. Dude, that's how desperate they were. Showing up drunk, farting on kids, sleeping under my desk, completely showing up 3 hours late, just reeking of booze, and he's begging me to stay. That's how desperate they are. The teaching thing is funny to me. And I know some people aren't going to like this, but people act like teachers are like, oh my God, they're so brave. Dude, you get, here's the thing, guys. I know some people, again, are not going to want to hear this. I got 10 weeks off in the summer. I got 2 weeks off for Christmas break. I got a week off for spring break. You add in all the other holidays, it ends up being 14 weeks off in the year. That's 3.5 months. 14 weeks off. Now, was my job easy? No. I dealt with some total riffraff. And especially as a first-year teacher, you don't have any lesson plans. You're learning on the fly. But still, I got 14 weeks off paid. Paid. So again, 30 grand wasn't that much. Also didn't work 3.5 months of the year, and I got paid for it. Got great benefits. That's why I laugh at like they act like some of these teachers are saviors. Like, look, let's just call it what it is. I mean, it's a job. It's not an easy job. It's also not the hardest job. I'm just saying, like, I've had a lot of different jobs. That job that I did as a commercial mover is a million times harder. That's backbreaking work, manual labor work every day. That's tough, man. I would take teaching over that in a heartbeat. In an absolute heartbeat, I would take that. But I'm sure I'll talk more about the teaching because I got stories, man. I got stories, and it's so funny to think that I did that, and I can always fall back on it. And I think about that, like literally, that's a safety net. They always need teachers, especially male teachers. I'm a total minority. It still breaks down about 80 to 85% female. They're always looking for male teachers. Go back to being an English teacher. That'd be kind of funny. We got some calls this week. We got some calls, guys. I appreciate it. I put out the hotline number. Let's pull it up again. Where is this? I put out the hotline number, 859-935-0078, and we got some calls. I appreciate that. So anything is on the table. Just so you guys know, anything personal too, nothing is off limits for me. Nothing at all. So if you want to ask me like the most personal question, I'll answer it. I don't really care. Doesn't bother me. 859-935-0078. That is the Andy Ruther Show hotline. So let's pull up a couple calls. Let's get to a couple calls. Okay. So here's a call. By the way, real quick. I know when you call, it's going to ask for your name. I don't hear that part. So then it goes to the voicemail. Say your name again if you don't. That way I know who's calling, so I can just address you by your name. All right, so here is a call.
What's up, Ruther? I love the new show. I think it's a great idea. Appreciate you having this. My question is, for you, when you graduated college, after you got done with, all the fun, all the getting blackout on the weekends, getting shit-faced with your buddies and stuff, the fraternity life, all of that, when you got into your post-college career and, maybe you're like me, you're sitting in traffic, commuting a bunch, or, get home from work and you don't really know like what to do, or I was just wondering if you had any advice for recent college grads that are entering that next phase of their life that I wouldn't say I feel lost from not having all the excitement of college, but it's definitely an adjustment. So just curious on that. Thanks, Ruther.
Cool. Thanks for the call, first of all. Like I said, if you guys want to drop your name when you leave the message, that way I can know who I'm talking with. It's a good call. So you're kind of basically in that feel out stage post college. I feel you. So here's the thing. One, I didn't give up the partying. I was immature. I was immature for a lot of my life with that stuff. So like the drinking, the partying. I mean, I'm telling you stories right now, this episode about getting bombed and showing up to work bombed as a educator. My drinking didn't stop until I had a traumatic brain injury, right? I had so many signs that said, hey, man, you should chill out. You should chill out. You should stop binge drinking when you do. And I ignored all of them. And that was finally in my coming to Jesus moment, so to speak, when I woke up on a sidewalk with a traumatic brain injury, which changed my life, right? So I didn't simmer down with the partying. That's the truth, man. And I had that injury April 5th was the last night I partied, 2014. So it was about 10 years ago. So I was 33. And the truth is, I stopped drinking after that. I haven't had a drink since, but the quote unquote like immature ways that didn't stop really for me. Like the settling down, I still, had a lot of meaningless relationships, if you even want to call them relationships, just just, I have a binge personality, so a lot of meaningless hookups, all those things. My life really changed after I lost my parents. The two turning moments in my life were basically the traumatic brain injury, so I stopped drinking, and then I lose my parents in 2020, and that kind of made me hit the reset button and reevaluate everything. So I'm telling you all that because you're young, do what you want. Different people mature at different ages, but don't think you have to figure it all out now. That's my advice. Find something you like and want to pursue and pursue it. Now, I always wanted to pursue stand-up comedy since I was in high school, or I'm sorry, since like freshman year of college. And then I started doing some open mics in college in my fourth year and, blah, blah, blah. And then one thing leads to another. And I wanted to, whether it was writing, acting, radio, podcasts weren't even a thing back then. So just my advice would be to pursue something you like, but also know in the meantime, you're going to take jobs you don't like. We all did. Like I said, I've had so many different jobs. We could go through. It would take a whole podcast if I went through all my different jobs and I could share stories from all my different jobs. But there has to be an ends to the mean, is my point. So when I'm doing all these jobs in Los Angeles, whether it's a bellhop or waiting tables or working at Burke Williams Spa in West Hollywood or whatever it is, the end was always stand-up comedy / how can I make money in the entertainment world? So I was fortunate. I knew what I wanted to do. I want to make money off that, right? Can I make money with my voice, basically? Can I talk and people will pay me? Can I make money creatively, right? Which then led to social media and all those things that I've made money from, and which I enjoy just as much. Can I make money creating content? But just know you're going to go through a lot of quote unquote shit jobs you don't like. And that's totally normal. But you also need an outlet. Are you working on something else on the side? Is there something else you want to pursue? Do you have an outlet, whether it's, I don't know, working out, video games, whatever it is? But I get it. I get like it's tough to know, and you can always pivot, right? That's the thing. You can, you know what I love about this country? You can reinvent yourself. You really can. I can reinvent myself at 42 years old. I never thought I'd be doing social media content for a brand like I do for Gold Star. I never thought I'd be a Twitter admin for a brand that has 60 restaurants, right? But here I am, and I love it. And they give me creative freedom, and they give me a huge leash. You know what I'm saying? I never thought I'd be in that world when I started understanding and learning about Twitter in 2011, 2012, all those years ago. It all goes back to pursuing something that interests you, and then you can figure it out. That's kind of my advice. But don't stress it, man. Dude, if I listened to all these people who told me not to pursue, I wouldn't be in front of you guys today. Like that principal, like other people. Sometimes it's not easy to go the road less traveled. I don't know. Just follow your passion. I know it sounds basic, but that's kind of my advice there. But I feel you. It's not always easy, man. There's so many times where I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'll never forget a call I had with my mom. The time I was working at kids camp, speaking of one of my many jobs, I worked at a beach kids camp, summer 2012. I was also working the door at a bar in Venice Beach. Right? Cabo Cantina, I was working that bar on the weekends. I was working the kids camp on the weekdays. I was working 7 days a week. And at that point, I basically had stopped doing stand-up. So I've been in LA about 5 years. I'd hit a rut. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just turned 30 the previous November, and I was on my lunch break at the bar job on the weekends, and I kind of had a moment with my mom. I was on the Venice Pier, and she's like, basically, for lack of better terms, she's like, you got to figure this shit out, man. You've been out in LA 5 years. You're working, like you're working hard. You're working 7 days a week. I was getting up at about 5:30 in the morning. We could be at this kids camp. I was one of the people who set it up. I drove to the director's house. He had a giant U-Haul truck parked outside his condo in Pacific Palisades. I would drive that down to the beach in the Palisades, set up all these tents with some of the other workers. You know, the sun is literally rising, which was cool though. You're working on the beach, and that was cool, but that's not why I was out in LA. And I would do that job every day. And then on the weekends, I'd work at the bar. And my mom was like, you need to figure it out. And that's right when I got into the social media stuff. I remember saying to my mom, I think I can make money off this stuff. And that was early days, guys. Like, you didn't know if you could make money off this stuff. And I sunk everything into it. And again, here I am today doing that stuff. That stuff has helped me create podcasts. It helped me get a job in radio. It was an ends to a means having those jobs, busting my balls. But I always knew in the back of my head, if I keep working hard, I think you can achieve this, because I knew I had enough talent to. That was a long answer, but those are just kind of personal experiences. All right, so we have another call here I'd like to get before we get out of here.
Word up, Andy Ruther, Ray from beautiful Toms River, New Jersey, home of the 1990 whatever Little League World Series champs. Congrats on your show. It's the 4th episode. I'm listening in. You finally dropped the hotline. Check it out. Proud of you. Hope you play my call, because unlike my dirty sports call, you did not play my Darren Waller. You guys blew that. You blew that. I was looking forward to it. You know, it's always nice you play a call and it doesn't go through, but all good. So in the Darren Waller call, I also made a request for Dirty Sports. However, I think it's more fitting if you proceed my request of having Maddie Goldberg, Maddie Goldstein, Maddie Jewy Bag of Donuts. Can we get Maddie Goldberg on one of these shows, whether it's Andy Ruther show or Dirty Sports? And the follow-up question, how did you meet Maddie Goldberg? Like, that guy, am I the only one that finds him, like, hilarious, like, unintentionally funny? Like, we need him more on Dirty Sports. We need him more on the Ruther show. The Dent Report. Like, come on. We need Maddie Goldberg. We need him. So, yeah, that's my call. Can we get Maddie Goldberg on one of the two shows? And also, how did you meet Maddie Goldberg? I would love to hear that story. Anyways, Ruther, I know I was shitting on you, but I love you, my guy. I've been listening since I was 14. Episode 25, Fuck the ESPYs, Dirty Sports. Check it out. So, keep doing your thing, my guy. Love you, and God bless.
Long call. Appreciate it, Ray. Appreciate you. So we have a crossover here from a Dirty Sports listener, Dirtball, calling about Maddie Goldberg, my buddy, Matty G. Yeah. So obviously I don't have guests on right now. And when I'm sure at some point I'll start bringing some guests on. I'm just kind of feeling this thing out. I would definitely have Matty on. Matty's my boy. He's my homie. We go way back. I met Matty in 2010. I met him at the Comedy Store in Hollywood. It was spring 2010. It was March 2010. There was a comedy competition called March Madness of Comedy that my buddy Josh Filipowski, I think he still runs this. It's a great premise. He took the March Madness basketball concept and he applied it to comedy. You'd have two comics on stage. You each did I believe, a minute of material in the first round. And then the audience would vote on the spot who was funnier. Like roast battles and those things have kind of obviously come up since. But this wasn't a roast battle. It was just like, give me your best minute. And then I think in the second round, you got 2 minutes. And then in like the Sweet 16, you got maybe 4 minutes. And it just kept going up. And that's where I met Matty. I think he was recent to LA, and we were all hanging out in the green room at the Comedy Store. And I thought he was so funny, man. I saw him on stage and like, who is this dude? Right? He's just a funny looking dude. And he's like the most Jewish looking dude you'll ever see. And he was funny as shit. And I was like, I gotta get to know this guy. And that's where it all started. It all started there. And I forget how far I think I made it to the Elite Eight. Those shows were fun. Those shows were a lot of fun. But yeah, that's where I met Matty G. Met him at the Comedy Store. And I think I reached out to him in the green room. There's all these comics sitting in the green room, and just started talking to him. And like, yo, I think you're a funny cat, man. I'm Andy Ruther. Let's hang out sometime. That's where I met a lot of dudes. I used to run a show up at the Comedy Store around that time. Actually, after that, the guy who runs March Madness Comedy, Josh Filipowski, we ran the belly room, which is a small room at the Comedy Store is 3 rooms. The upstairs belly room, which is a small, intimate room, real cool room. Dave Chappelle actually did a comedy special in that room, a small, like the intimate one. I forget what it's called in the last like 3 or 4 years, but maybe 5 years. I don't know. Regardless, we ran every Friday. We had a show up at the belly room in the Comedy Store in like 2010, 2011. And that, again, that's where like, that was so much fun going up to the Comedy Store every Friday night to run a show. And then that basically ended because I was like, what's going on with my career? And that's where you go into 2012, where I'm trying to figure it out, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, man, that's where I met Matty. Thanks for the call. Again, guys, give me a ring, 859-935-0078. If you're watching this, you can see the hotline is scrolling down below. So check that out. Keep leaving those podcast reviews. I see them, guys. I appreciate you. We're damn near at 75, I think. We're getting close to that 100. Again, I'm giving $100 to somebody. 100 for 100. When we get to 100 reviews, combined review/rating from Spotify and Apple, I will give somebody $100. That's how I'm doing it. So keep leaving those ratings, keep leaving those reviews, and somebody's going to win some money, which is cool, right? Easy money to win. So let's go ahead and do that. It takes 2 seconds. I appreciate it. So thank you guys for all the great ratings, all the great reviews. Every bit helps, and we'll keep doing it. All right, guys, I got to go make some food, go pick up baby girl from daycare, get my day moving, but appreciate y'all. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you again next Wednesday. That's what I want to tell you. Every show will drop on Wednesday from now on. So be looking for your new show to drop on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Substack, wherever. Check it out every Wednesday. New Andy Ruther show. All right, guys, much love.